Welcome to the wonderful world of fonts and Cricut crafting. My name is Susan and I'm from Bright Star Crafters. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all my tips and tricks on how to use typography in your crafts. Let's run through all the things that you'll hopefully learn in this video, like how to avoid lots of common mistakes with fonts, how to use glyphs and decorations to make your fonts look really cool, how to use offset to make your text stand out, how to upload fonts in Canva, and that's really cool if you want to use special fonts that have lots of glyphs, how to design in Canva and how to download so that you can cut in design space. And you're also going to learn lots of other tips and tricks. So let's get started. So let's run through our ultimate font guide for Cricut crafting. Remember that you can go to our blog and you can also get all of the templates that we have. So if you click on this link here and you have a Canva Pro account, you can get this. It's a template. So I'll just click Use Template, and then this makes a copy of it and you can do whatever you like with it. So if you really like any of these particular fonts, you can just click it, copy it, and put it into your own space. Here are some of the common mistakes people use when they're using fonts or typography. So one of the most common things I see is just people who use fonts that you can't really understand clearly if they are actually what the letter is meant to be. And so this is a very simple one. I love you. This could easily be interpreted as a J, whereas this I is definitely 100% an I. You can't mistake that for anything. So that's obviously just one example, but you will find that in a lot of different crafts. If somebody can't immediately read what it is that you're trying to say, you probably want to change that font to something else. We've got a forgot to weld. So you can see that in this video here, where we basically have cut out, if you don't weld in Cricut, you are going to have issues. So this is if you don't weld it, all the letters, especially in script fonts, get merged together and then they're very difficult to weed out. Whereas when you do weld your letters in Cricut, then it all becomes one perfect looking word, and that is exactly what you need to do. And so when you are exporting from Canva into Design Space, that is one thing that you absolutely 100% have to remember to do. The too much spacing between letters, that is something that Design Space used to have issues with. But luckily they have since fixed that. But I still find that I see people with this happen quite a bit. So just be careful. If you notice this kind of thing happening, you need to fix that. So in here, there's a thing called spacing, and there's letter spacing and line spacing. So in letter spacing, usually you just want to keep it to 0, which is your standard auto. But there are certain times when with a sans serif or the plainer kind of fonts, you could space out your letters, but when you're dealing with script fonts, just leave it as auto, because you want those curves to be going in together. The whole point of script lettering is that they all should join up. So when you've got spacing like this, they're all gaps. So you've got all these little bits that are coming off and just not being able to meet its little partner. So be careful. Press 0 to that. Be careful with uppercase lettering. So we've already talked about that. You definitely don't want this. It's very hard to read, and script fonts are usually not able to deal with it all being uppercase, because they should be it should be sentence case at the most. So sentence case or title case. And sentence case is when only the first letter of the sentence has a capital letter, and then the other words are lowercase. Title case is when the beginning of each word has a capital letter. They are really the only times when a script font should have a capital letter. Okay. The next thing is textured fonts. So just be really careful. You can see in this video that we cut out this exact script, and you can see that the larger, and even this one was okay. They had little bits in them that the Cricut actually cut really well, and even though this is quite a difficult vinyl to cut from, it still did quite well. You can see that the T, the little stroke on the T got missed when it got a bit smaller. So I still think it did quite well, the Cricut, even though it was quite small. But you just have to be really careful when you are dealing with detailed fonts when you're going to small sizes. One of the most common problems that people have is how small can they cut their text? So it is a tricky thing. So what we've done is we set up a file here, and you can see we've got a serif. So they are the fonts that have the little bits on them. That might be something like Times New Roman, you might know that font. And we also have a sans serif. And sans serifs are like your little black dress. They are a perfect combination to go with nearly every kind of script font. And you can find a whole bunch of those. They are the best thing for all that kind of small text. And we also have an example of a script font. And what we did was we set it up so that you've got a 0.5 of a centimetre high, and that is for you can see on the serif and the sans serif, they're quite similar in height, but you can see with the script font that it looks a lot smaller than those other two fonts. And that's because of those little drop downs, which are called descenders, and ascenders, which are the bits that go up. And those little bits are the tricky parts of scripts that make it really hard to work with sometimes. So you can see we've got a 0.5 a centimetre, we've got a 1 centimetre high, and we've done height rather than point sizes because they vary so much depending on the font. And we also have a 1.5 centimetre, and you can see that we actually, the script font that we have, which is 1.5 centimetres, looks actually much smaller than the other ones. So what I did was I made that 3 centimetres high, which actually gives a very similar appearance to the other two fonts. So you want to be quite careful when you are dealing with scripts. But you can see in our video where we're actually weeding it out, you can see it's actually really hard when you get down to those very small font sizes of the 0.5 centimetre. So you probably don't want to go any smaller than that. And if you are going to go quite small like that, you will be having, you'll want to use probably just the sans serif, which is the most plain style font. And a good tip is to make it all uppercase, and that will make your job a lot easier. So now let's talk about glyphs and how you can use them in your craft projects. And you might be thinking, what on earth is a glyph? And they are basically all those little fancy elements that you see in other people's craft projects. So those cute little hearts or things like that. And it's relatively easy to use them, but it can be really confusing. So let me dive in a little bit and show you. You can, first of all, use Canva for lots of really cool things. So you don't even have to go near any of these other sites that have all of these different glyphs in their font. So you can just, this one up here is the one that I have used with an actual font that a lot of people love. It's called I Love Glitter. But you can also get the same effect using elements that are in Canva. So this one in here, I just basically used a font that was in Canva, and I used this little heart that also is in Canva. And these ones here, these are just different initials that I found in Canva. This heart frame I also found in Canva, and I used just a cute little font that is quite decorative. And then also in here. So you don't have to go to these other websites to try and find all the fancy parts that can make your craft look a bit more interesting. But I will quickly go there. So if you want to, this is how you're going to be able to download fonts and install them on your laptop. So I've basically gone here into Creative Fabrica. So Creative Fabrica is one of those kind of stock websites that's really good for lots of SVGs, lots of fonts, loads of different cool things. It's definitely a great thing to have in your arsenal of tools. So I have Canva, I have Creative Fabrica. Creative Fabrica is awesome for those kind of like typography style quotes that Canva is a little lacking on. Also great for getting things like fonts. So you can say, I love all these different things. Say for example, you love this font called Bestie. It's obviously the most popular because it's listed as up there. You can go here and you can see all the capitals and lowercase letters. You can see all these little swashes and alternative characters as well. So if you are not already logged in, you can log in and you can sign up for, I think it's $1 at the moment for a month. So you can trial it, pretty good value. You can download as much as you want. So once I'm logged in, I can click download, and basically I have an account that I can get access to absolutely everything. And you can do that too. And that way you can just download whatever you want. You don't have to worry about it. But it is a bit confusing. This is a bit more time consuming than definitely working in Canva. So you can see it automatically downloaded into my download folder. It goes in as a zip, and on a Mac it automatically unzips and it becomes a folder. And you can see you've got an OTF and a TTF. Both are fine, whichever one you want. If you're on a mobile, I definitely think the OTF seems to work better, but they're basically the same. Now, what you need to do is you need to go to your font book, and you can find that in the application folder. And then all you have to do is you can see how many fonts I have. I'm a little bit OTT with my fonts. So I just go to add fonts. You go to your download folder or wherever you have your fonts. You can also be very organized and put your fonts into its own particular folder. But for this case, I'm just going to go here. Now you can see both are available, that I can put them on. So it doesn't really matter in my opinion. So I'm just going to click the TTF, True Type Font. And then you just have to remember what it's called. But in this case, it does actually come up. So Bestie is here. Now, you can see all of the little fancy parts here that if I was to go to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to type, and I'm going to call it Bestie. And here's my horrible Apple Chancery font that I hate. Then you just go to your system, and you can search for Bestie, press return. Nothing came up. Okay, so that's weird. It should have come up by now. Sometimes it might just take a little bit of time. So what we could do is we can just quit out here. And we are going to open up Design Space again. And this is the fun thing about Cricut Design Space. Whenever anything goes wrong, which it does a lot of the time, all you have to do is just quit and reopen. That's what I find works the best. So let's see if this will work now. So type in your text, go over to your system and type in Bestie. And there you go. See, it worked. So click on that and you will see your font is now here. Bestie. Now you can see that there is actually a little fancy heart that comes as standard on the eyes. But you might want to say, well, I want those fancy ones. How do I get these guys? You just basically go to edit and copy once you've clicked on the letter that you like, and then you go back to Cricut Design Space and then you paste. Edit, paste. And there you go, easy. Same kind of thing happens for all of those fonts. When you go into your font book, you can go through and you can click on all of these, and you can see some fonts will have different kind of special characters than others. Okay, another one that people love is that I love glitter, which is really cool. And you can see here, you've got those little fancy, what are they called? Little hearts. So say let's give that as an example. I'm just going to Apple C or Command C. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to do another text box, and I'm going to do I love glitter, which is what this is called. And we are going to change this font. I'm going to go to System and do I love, and there it is, I love glitter. And because these are already in my system, I don't have to pay for them again, because I can use them as much as I want and we don't have to pay anything extra. Now let's say I'm going to do something like Susan, and instead of that like an ampersand Nigel, I might want to do that joining thing. So like what I just did here, so I went here, I pop there, you copy, you go back to Cricut Design Space, and then in here I just get rid of that and I do paste, and I've got this cute little heart. Now what is a problem for me is I really hate this N, how it kind of goes up and over. That annoys me. I, as a bit of a font snob, I would much prefer that N to flow into here and do that. So you can get that with other fonts that are out there, but it takes a little bit of time for you to kind of like look through them and find the kind of fonts that work for you. So that's a whole other course where you could spend hours and hours looking through there. But basically I'm pointing you in the right direction here. So go back here and kind of go and just find the different things that work really nicely for you. And you know, everybody has different tastes, so you're going to be able to find something that is really wonderful for you. But if you don't want to do that, let's just go back to how I did these. So you can see with this one here, I'm just going to ungroup. And when I click on here, you can see, so any element that you bring into Canva, if you click on the eye, you'll see the name of it, and then you'll see view more by. Now that is the best trick that I know of in Canva. And what happens is this artist created all of these different things. So this particular one is actually here. So you can just click that and drag it over, and then just go up here and just change a color to be whatever. And that's how I did this, and I basically just cropped it. So you can pull it in and you can make things a bit different. Press done, and you can have lots of playful kind of things with it. It takes a bit of time and experimentation, but again, it's just for me to show you all the different things that you can do in Canva. So when it says brand, this basically means this is the person who's created this. And then you could do, for example, you could do heart, just leave a space after it. And Canva knows to look for this particular artist and then all the hearts that they've created. And if you go to graphics and then go to static, that's another really great trick. So that way you know most of these things will be able to be cut on your Cricut design space. You might find things like this, which you can't. Okay, you won't be able to cut this because there's no actual part up here, so you would have to bring this in, and that would be a bit more difficult. You'd have to like trace it and do things like that. If you keep dragging them in and then you see this little pink or a different color up here, you know that you can cut this. You can export it out as an SVG, and then you're going to be able to cut it, and you can scale it up and down. Okay, heaps of different cool things. And we have a few different courses on Canva as well that you can go and have a little look at that, because this could be hours and hours if I went into absolutely everything. Another cool thing that you might want to look at, Elements is basically your best friend when it comes to all the kind of decorative parts that you want. So for example here, if I again click on my little eye, you'll see that there is View More by this artist. And then what you can do is you can see all these letters. So if I wanted to, I could probably do letter, and everything will be a bit different. But you can see now all of a sudden I've got this like huge, amazing like assets of all different letters. So you could spell out a whole different thing if you wanted to. You could spell out a whole name, or with this kind of case, you probably don't want to do too much of it, but you could do anything at all that you want. Be careful with this kind of thing. You won't be able to cut this because it's an image. Okay, so don't do things like that, but you can certainly do any of these guys. And you can see that I can change the color. So when you can change the color easily, you know that you can save this out as an SVG. Nice trick. You can do all sorts though in Elements. So if you do typography, you're going to be able to find a whole bunch of different things. And then you can also, they've got a kind of like a categorization for all the different kinds of things in here too. It says lots and lots of cool things like Nana. That's pretty cute. So if you were like looking for Nana, and you can see these have different colors, so you know that you can definitely cut this out. So that could be cool. So there's honestly, you're going to probably spend hours looking through here. It's pretty fun. Lots and lots of different things. Just have a play with your typography. You know, you could do like fun. That'll bring up different things. You can also do like fonts, I'm pretty sure. Yep, so you can do like that if you want a really nice ampersand, for example. You can do that here, and you can see that the color, again, we can change this. So we can export this out. Now be careful with this kind of thing. Can you see how it's got lots of sketchiness? That's going to be really difficult to cut out on a Cricut. So do be careful. Not everything on Canva is made for you to use on Cricut. This part here is really cute, and that was up, if you click again on here, this is called a wreath of hearts. And again, I can view the artist, so I can see all their different things that they have. And look at this adorable cat. So you're going to come across lots of really cool things. There's a nice leaf. That's pretty cool. That's like a double layered thing that you could easily cut out on your Canva, or on your Cricut. Cricut and Canva, they go together, don't they? Here's a nice little swirly thing. Now you'll notice that this doesn't change color. So although it looks really pretty, you're not going to be able to cut that easily on Canva or on Cricut, because that is a PNG, and PNGs aren't traceable. So you'd have to bring that into Cricut Design Space, and then you'd have to like do a whole bunch of work to it. So get rid of that. But say for example, I wanted to do a different kind of wreath. So I can either look through all of these wonderful designs that are in this artist's portfolio, or I can just literally in my elements, I can do wreath. And you're going to find a whole bunch of different things. So again, you can't do everything. You can also, you might be able to bring it down by SVG. And so yes, there's definitely definitely looks like a little bit more suitable. And this is an SVG. You can see all the different colors, but this is going to be pretty difficult to do. So unless you're advanced, I would probably avoid it. But if you just kind of go back and you're looking at simple things like this. Oh, and actually, yeah, do be careful, because if it doesn't, even though, oh no, there we are. Oh, good, great. So it is, yeah, once it has a color up here, then it's fine. Yeah, that's good. So for example, I could get rid of that and I could say I'm going to bring that in instead. Perfect. Now, this is also lovely. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is all well and good. How do I get all these fancy things into Cricut Design Space and so I can cut it? How about I show you that now? So to export from Canva and bring it into Cricut Design Space, you just go to Share, Download, and you can do this all on your mobile phone too. Remember to change from PNG to SVG. This is only on the Pro account. I would definitely recommend it though. It's really, really good. You want to only select the page that you're on. And I know that this, I can see in the preview here, is page 6. Press done, download. And I always would recommend to probably remove a lot of the different parts that are on here and only maybe the one part that you want. It will be less confusing. So let's do glyphs. So that's going to download, you can see that there. And then I'm going to go to my Cricut Design Space and I'm going to get rid of these for now. And I'm going to upload, in my Cricut Design Space, I'm going to upload image, I'm going to browse. And in my downloads, I've got my glyphs.svg. Now on a mobile phone, that will just go into your folder on your iPhone and you just upload. Same thing, really easy. Now, whoa, it says it's a large image, but that's okay. You should be able to cope with it quite easily. And then I click it and add to canvas. Now on a mobile phone, you just click insert. Okay, now warning, it can get a little bit messy. That's why I do recommend doing it kind of like just for one particular thing, but I'll quickly show you. Don't get too scared, it's not too hard. So first of all, you'll notice everything is grouped. So you'll want to go to ungroup. Then I'm going to get rid of all the things that I don't want. Get rid of all these different things. See you later. Now you'll notice that this one here was a glyph font. That has come in beautifully without any issues. This one here is a little bit more of a problem because it actually kept those parts that I didn't particularly, now it actually is quite cute. You could just leave it like that if you wanted to, but I think we ended up bringing in more here, but that's okay. What you could do is you can slice that, which is probably a little bit tricky, but let's go to our shapes and I'll see if I can quickly show you how to do that. I'll bring in this, and what we'll do is we are just going to zoom in here and I'm going to unclick that so we can make it a little bit wider. And what we want to do is we want to bring this, arrange this, bring it to the front, and then we're just going to figure out where we want this. Now ideally you should be able to keep it in line with the other parts, and so if I would, yeah, you're probably gonna go around here, that should be pretty good. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to chop this, and I also want to chop this other bit. So if I get my rectangle and I get my little cute shape, and I'm going to slice it, and then that creates a whole batch of different things, but that's okay. All we have to do is highlight over it, delete, and we've also got this little guy here. So we're going to just do that again. And so Cricut Design Space is a wonderful program, but it gets a little bit of time to get used to it. So slicing it, you can only do 2 at one go. So be careful with that. If it ever doesn't work, it's because you're probably trying to do more than 2 things. So there we are. Get rid of that. And definitely on a laptop it's easier than on a mobile, but you can do it. For the love of glyphs, eh? For the love of making things look pretty. So there we go, that's how we fixed that. Then we're going to go over to these guys. Now, where are we? Here we are. And you'll notice I don't have any grid on here. If you need a grid, just go to your settings, and you can do full grid, and that will help you. So with this, I can just highlight over those. And we've got that one perfect. And let's say with this one, go backwards. So it's kind of like, what you're best off doing is just moving things around to get everything out of the way. Then try and get the parts that have the most kind of stability. Yes, so with these, you just want to make sure that you will look at your original design, and you can see that they are in here and here. So I'm just going to move these over here, and then you'll see that we're left with these parts here. Now if I want to move these, you can see that they're all individual parts, and that's going to be really confusing. So I'm just going to grab this, and if you look back at your Canva, you can see that we've got this part over here and this part over here. So let's just go back over here, and we can just kind of move that. And that now looks pretty good. So you can just group this, and to merge all those together, welding is really, really great. So click weld, and that merges all of that together. And you might just want to zoom in and you can see I've got a little bit of something happening here. So just look at the attention to detail and click weld. And that has all joined that now, so it's all one piece, and will be perfect to cut on your Cricut. And of course, the bigger, the better. So it'll be easier for you to weed and do all sorts of other things. With this one, again, all you have to do is, and you can notice how all of these parts start getting a lot more like together, because there's a lot of things happening here. Actually, if I just weld this together, you can see they all disappear. And then this one together. And then we've got these parts here that you can see them all in this part. So you can see that we've got them all as individual letters, which is really handy if you want to. You can change the actual direction of them. But for this, I'm just going to weld it together, and that joins them all, and you can see how they get more simplified. And we've got one more. Got one more here, and we weld that. And everything now is ready to cut. So all you have to do is click Make It. Perfect. So if I go back to Canva, you can also see all these other different decorative things. So again, just like what I did before, you can click on here, you can see there's lots of really cool quotes that are already done. You can click on I and you can see more by the person. Look at all those amazing quotes. How cool is that? You can get all of those and then you can export it and you can cut on your Cricut. You can also merge different things like this really cool mandala and a typography, so you can create your own version. You could get a quote like this, teacher, and you could do like, you could add some like #1 teacher, Mrs. Smith or something. A cute little butterfly and mix that with your favorite font. There's so many different things you can do. Really, really fun. Another really important thing that a lot of crafters will love to do is working with fonts and patterns. So you've got all the cool patterns that we have on Bright Star Crafters, but what you will want to do is you will want to make that text stand out. So I'll quickly show you how to do an offset in Cricut Design Space. So go over here, type in a name, say we'll do Sarah, make it nice and big. I'm going to just change the color so that you can see. Okay, and then all I have to do is you go to offset up here and you can see that the outline will change depending on how much, can you see, or how little you want. And so this is a great trick as well. If you want to make your font slightly thicker, you can do that by just putting a little bit of extra. So we'll say if you want to just make your font thicker, you'll probably want to just do maybe like 0.1 of a centimeter, depending on how large your font is. Okay, but if I want to make an actual offset, I'll probably want to do around 3.3 of a centimeter. That's pretty good. And you click apply. And what that will do is it will kind of give you a shadow effect. So it will give you, like what I've got here, it will give you like this. And it just means that your pattern will be able to pop out from your surface. Okay, and again, if you want to do in Canva, you can just go ahead and you can do a shadow. So with here, there's effects, and you can see I've got a shadow. And what I do is I basically have the blur as 0, and the direction, you can change the direction to be whatever you want. But I think that looks pretty good here. And you can certainly see it in the pink. It looks a lot more standy out. And then when you've got something like pantry labels where you're going to have a lot of different text with a lot of different fonts, you want to use the one font so that which will work really well. This doesn't look too bad, but also it is quite difficult to read and it can get a bit tight in places, you can see over here. So if you are a little bit concerned, you might be better off to just go with something very plain and simple that's really easy to read. So keep all of those kinds of things in mind. And then we've got our uppercase, title case and lowercase. Lowercase is great for scripts and also your title case, which is, we've gone over that before. Avoid doing uppercase with script fonts. You can see there's a few here that do look okay, but you're better off to avoid that. And then we've got a whole bunch of nice combinations, and Canva is absolutely brilliant for that. So in here, in the text, automatically it will show you all these different things in here. That's really great. And in your Pro account, you'll notice that I actually do have in the glyphs, you can upload a font in. If you've got a Pro account, you can go to your styles, I think it is, and you've got You've got your brand folder here, and you can go and you can edit. You got your brand logos, brand fonts. You can upload 3 fonts, and then you basically just make them into a body style. So in here, if I wanted to, you can change that to be whatever you want. Okay, so just upload your font, which is here. So for example, if I wanted to do this one, I just click there, open, yes, I have permission to use it. And then what you'll need to do is you want to assign that as in your text styles, you'll want to add this as a body style, and you want to use your bestie. And that's how you get to use your own custom fonts in Canva. So you've got a few different things there. That's kind of like a little hack of how to get around. If you do want a really fancy glyph font, you can bring that into Canva. And so yeah, there's so many different cool fonts there. So you're going to find a whole heap of amazing fonts that some are easy to use on your Cricut, some are a bit more difficult, like this one here. I did get into quite a bit of trouble weeding all of those little bits, especially around this kind of P, but it's definitely worth it if you love that particular font. And that's basically it. We've gone through all of the most basic things about fonts and typography. I am Susan from Bright Star Crafters. We have a wonderful Facebook group that I would love you to come and join. Say hello, and if you have any questions at all, you can ask in that group. We also have a wonderful YouTube. We've got an incredible Facebook page. We've got Instagram. We've got our blog that is full of incredible information, and basically everything that you can imagine is on there waiting for you to learn. And of course, we have our wonderful website that you can buy all of the different kinds of vinyls that are perfect and so easy to use with pretty much any font that you can think of. We can't wait to see all the wonderful things that you are going to make. And now that you know how to use fonts and typography a little bit more, you are going to make the most amazing crafts. Have a wonderful day, and if you have any questions, please let me know.